I would start off by saying that when you read about this car, a lot of things are fixated on the numbers, so it's like seriously fast. This is electronically limited, the Super Sport, to 440. It's a false limit because a couple of years ago we did 490. So when it's a false limit, the speed goes up to that really quickly. It's not like you're waiting forever for the last few. So it's 1,600 PS, 1,600 Newton meters. So all these numbers, but that only tells the performance story. Then when you sit in the car, you get the other things coming to you. So it's really important that you drive the car. The quality of all the materials, the refinement of the ride, things like the weighting of the controls, the brake and the steering. There's a lovely amount of weight to it. Most supercars will have the tacho in the centre. Ours, the speedo's in the centre. It almost doesn't matter how many RPM you use it. Because it's got so much torque.
Yeah.
So max torque is from 2 to 6,000 RPM. So what I'll do is, just as a little demo here, I'll pop it into third gear. So all I'm going to do, third gear, I'm just going to tip into it, just gently, and then estimate 800. 794.
Yeah.
That's not a bad estimation. 3898.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that was a little introduction to the Bugatti Chiron Super Sport by Mr. Andy Wallace, the living legend, the winner of 24 Hours of Le Mans, Sebring and Daytona. Thank you very much for joining me today. We're going to handle it a little bit differently today. As you can see, we're starting with a co-drive, then I'll be able to drive the car myself, and after that we will do the walk around at the castle at the factory. So it will be fun to do it kind of in a reverse order, to experience the car first, and then sort of based on that experience I'll be able to walk you through all the exterior features and the development of the car afterwards, and maybe we can make sense of some of the stuff we're experiencing as well afterwards. So that's a little intro. Andy Wallace, thank you so much for taking me. We're going to experience the car first at your hand. You have driven this car at 490 kilometers an hour. How was that?
That, believe it or not, is 140 meters per second, or a kilometer every 7 seconds. At the beginning of the straight where we did it, the test track, VW test track, you don't see the other end. After a few seconds, you're there.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And what a car. It was amazing. No vibration, no massive noise. Yeah, you've got to hold on to it a bit because it's really fast, but amazing. This is something I'll never forget.
I can imagine. So we were just visiting the little museum, and the Veyron was there, the Vitesse. It's amazing that it's only 6 years and you went from 408 in the Veyron to 490.
Yeah, it's quite impressive, isn't it? Cars, the motor industry in general, are fantastic at what they do.
Yeah.
They solve a lot of problems. Cars are getting better and better and better. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know where the limit ultimately is.
Yeah.
At the end of the long straight, the speed was still climbing.
Yeah.
You have to pick a point and slow down
Yeah.
at that point. So it's amazing, really amazing. But and again, as we said earlier, if you built a car just to go 490 or 500 kilometers an hour, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But that's not what we've done here. This is a proper car, refined, easy to drive, usable on any kind of road.
Yeah.
So all I'm going to do now, before we hand over, I just want to show you the acceleration in first gear. So once you get 25 Celsius in the tyre temperature,
Yeah.
we've now got 28, 29 and 30.
Yeah.
There is no wheel spin even in first gear.
Okay.
Because if you give a car, let's say a car's got 800 horsepower and you can't pull all the power down, you can give it another 200-300 horsepower, it's not going to accelerate any faster.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing that shocked me when the Chiron first came out. You've got all this power and all this torque, and it's all transmitted onto the road, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make sure there's nothing around the corner, and then we'll go. So this is first gear. Okay, so these massive brakes, air brake, and you can lose the speed quicker than you put it on. But there's no drama. Having said that, the drama is that everything's coming towards you.
Yeah.
You can see what the horsepower was, 1,614.
1,614 PS. That felt amazing. Oh.
It's the security though.
Yeah.
It's, you know, that's a really big rush, but it's the car. This is not exactly a dead smooth road either.
Yeah.
And yet the car just goes where you point it.
It's so stable. I mean, we've driven 1,500 horsepower cars before, but when you drive those, you basically have to say a prayer and hope that the car goes in the right direction and that it stays in one piece, basically.
Well, that's it. And then when we swap seats, you'll feel the other subtleties. Like the communication through the steering is unbelievable for a car that weighs 1,950 kilos. You would swear blind it was a lot lighter.
Yeah.
A third of the weight of the car is just the engine and gearbox.
Yeah, I can imagine, because that thing is massive.
It is massive. In fact, when you look at the car, you don't see where it could possibly be hiding.
Yeah. No, we were walking around the atelier, and they were showing us where the two things are mated, married. And it's, I said, like, if you look at it like this, it almost feels like when they made the engine to the front of the car, that the car would tip over.
The car has 45% of its weight on the front axle.
Yeah. That's so smart.
And that's because the gearbox is here.
Yeah.
And it's quite heavy. So the engine is as big and as heavy as it is, not to get power. You could get this power from a V8, but it's for durability.
Yeah.
So there's no major service components on the engine for 200,000 or 300,000 kilometers except for oil and spark plugs.
Yeah.
So
it's all about stress on the engine.
Exactly.
The bigger the engine, the less stress.
Yeah, and it's still only 100 horsepower per cylinder, isn't it? So it's not stressed in any way.
Yeah.
So it's a remarkable engine, and just the fact that the gears are very tall, of course they are, to reach these speeds. But if you get on the throttle, there's no kick down in manual. So if you get on the throttle in, say, third, fourth gear, when you're very low RPM, down at 1,000, let's say, initially there's a small amount of lag, and then you just feel the boost just pushing you from the back. It's amazing. Could maybe just do that here, actually. So we're going way too low RPM, and if I just push, and then you just feel it coming, and it's just a relentless push.
Yeah, that's insane.
Incredible.
So how would you say this compares to the Veyron, for instance?
It's hard to remember, but the Veyron is from 2006, I believe, the first customer cars were delivered. So this is an awful long time ago, isn't it? So the Veyron was what you could do back then, and one of the things that changes a lot in the car industry really fast are the electronics and the control systems for everything. So when I drive the Veyron, I think it's a wonderful machine, but then it kind of dates itself because the electronics were what were available then.
Yeah.
And now with the stability control that we have, although we're not spinning the wheels even in first gear, let's say you're in the middle of a corner in a very low gear and you open the throttle and the stability control does operate, it does it in a very nice, quick and subtle way.
Yeah.
Be it, it could be reducing power output, putting on individual brakes. It just happens in a heartbeat, and then you're off again. You couldn't have that kind of control with the Veyron. It was kind of almost on or off. So that's some of the difference. I always thought the braking on the Veyron was reasonable, good actually, but the braking on this is just at another level completely.
No.
With the air brake and the mechanical brakes together, we can pull a maximum of 2G deceleration. That's for a road car. That's
ridiculous.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so when the rear wing deploys in the air brake position, it's not purely just creating more drag. It's obviously creating more downforce, but it's pulling the aerodynamic centre of pressure rearward and stabilises the car. It gets rid of some of the weight transfer if you have to brake from very high speed, and it also interacts with the rear diffuser. Did you see this?
I was just looking at it.
There's a lot of scratch marks on it, which is not us. That must be somebody else, because I've just lifted the car 10 millimetres only. I'm not even going to go over it slowly. Completely. It can get over so many things. Yeah, the overhang is quite short on the front, and that helps massively with that. So in EB mode, which is the mode, I've been in EB and Autobahn since I left, but in EB mode it's 115mm front ride height and 116 rear, so essentially it's flat. And then if you don't change anything, when you're on the Autobahn and you reach 180, it will default into Autobahn, which drops the rear 1mm and the front 20.
Yeah, so the angle of attack is...
You've got more rake, you lower.
Yeah.
It also raises the rear wing to 10 degrees and it stiffens the suspension slightly. I mean, instead of me talking about how nice it is to drive, you should find out for yourself, right? And I can give you a quick tour around the back of the car.
Sure.
So, over and above the normal Chiron, it's actually 23mm longer at the back, so the long tail version, if you like. The wing is in the same position, but the wing's actually longer. Okay. So you need a lower angle to get the same downforce.
Okay.
Or the same angle, less drag. And then not only is the back of the body longer, also the diffuser's longer. And then by turning the exhausts into this vertical position, you've got much more diffuser area.
Yeah, I was wondering about this because I know that there are 2 extra exhaust pipes there.
There are, yeah.
Is that part of a blown diffuser type idea, or?
Yeah, and obviously that only gives you the benefit at the high RPM.
Yeah.
But actually, all of the Chirons have got these 2 exhausts.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's not just specific to the Super Sport.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, yeah, you can see the proximity of the wing to the diffuser. So there is quite an effect, especially with the air brake on pulling it. And you'll notice when you brake, first of all, it's impressive how quickly you lose the speed, but the stability when you press the brake.
Yeah.
I mean, it encourages you to press the brake hard. If some cars, when they're teetering on the edge when you're braking from high speed, but this is absolutely not like that at all.
So the idea of the long tail is to get this as close as possible, right?
Exactly right. Yep, that's it. Because this is the tear-off area.
You want that water drop shape.
It.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I guess we should be out here, but it's a bit of a problem to park there.
The ultra long tail.
Yeah.
So this is actually quite a big moment for us, for our channel, since we basically started as 2 idiots wanting to drive fast cars and starting to film them. The Veyron was just released back then, and I mean back then that seemed like unobtainable. Yeah. And 12 years later, here we are with Andy Wallace. I mean, what the hell happened? Okay.
Yeah, but we're all lucky, aren't we? Because we're all doing what we like to do with
I mean, we are.
So,
start it up?
Yeah.
That is one starter motor I will never forget.
Yeah, even the sound of the starter motor is good.
It's awesome. It sounds like a jet firing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you shut the door, if I go onto the digital, look, it's actually 700 now. Quite often it's down in the 6s.
Yeah.
600 RPM.
So it's idling at 660 right now. That's mental. Okay, so we'll hit that once.
That's it. And I'll do that. Just quickly see how warm the tyres. As soon as you roll, you'll get a note of perfect temperature. So we're good. And I can see from the picture on the left that the car is still up.
Okay, so it's still lifted. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to turn right. So driving the Chiron, I mean, I know that this has been a goal from the get-go, back when the Veyron came out, to build an amazing machine with amazing performance, but also be able to do stuff like this. I think it was like take my wife to the opera was one of the one of the things that they wanted to accomplish with this car. And I'm honestly just going to ask you this because you're here, otherwise I would be talking about the car. But I mean, if you compare your record run in the McLaren F1 to, I mean, that was 386, right?
387, yeah.
387. So if you compare that to this, that really demonstrates what they've achieved with setting that goal.
It's amazing. And if you need a short answer, what's the difference? Well, the 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you probably know this yourself. There's a lot of cars that go 300. There are some cars that go 350.
Yeah.
But even if you go from 300 to 330 where it's legal, that's a massive difference. And that is also true when you start going. I mean, I've been 420 before, because the Chiron and the Chiron Sport are limited to 420.
Yeah.
So I had been 420 on the test track before. But then, in fact, they gave me a car with the speed limiter removed the weekend before we did the speed run.
Yeah.
Just to go and get used to it. So the first time you exceed 420, it feels so much faster.
Yeah.
And it might only be another 5 or 10k.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a lot of running during the week that we were there, and we were doing lots of validation to make sure that all the aerodynamic numbers were correct and there was enough load front and rear that we weren't going to have any issues. And then, yeah, basically, go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll never forget that. It was amazing.
I can imagine. Okay, so let's go into manual mode, experience a couple of gears here. So this is 5th.
It's a very tall gear.
So the thing I love about these like big turbocharged cars is that they sound almost industrial. Like, I mean, the sound of the engine and the blow off of those turbos, it sounds like it could power a factory. That's so, I absolutely love that sound. I mean, a high-pitched V12 Ferrari or something like that is amazing, but this has something so industrial. And I even saw that when they do the testing on the dyno, they attach these rods to the wheels and they use the power to power parts of the factory. It feels exactly like I was expecting it to feel. But yeah, the feel of all the controls, like you said, it is quite amazing.
Direction opening.
Yeah. Jeez.
If you go into first manually,
second,
then you'll probably get a bit light over the hump, but don't worry.
Yeah.
Just yeah. That is ridiculous. That is like the most incredible feeling car I've ever experienced, to be honest. And it's not intimidating at all. It's really not. And before you jump in, that's the first thing that comes to mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
It be.
That is amazing, man.
And almost you could say that the chassis could take another more, a couple of hundred more horsepower,
yeah.
a couple of hundred more. And
yeah, but where does it end?
Yeah.
So the tires, would they take more? That's one of the reasons why it's limited, right?
Well, yeah, and it's limited for quite a lot of safety reasons. The normal Chiron and Chiron Sport tyre, Michelin took them to the test rig in the US that was used to test the space shuttle tyres,
yeah.
and did a lot of testing on them. And they decided that tyre would have been okay to do what we were looking to do, but for them, they're always super safe. They wanted a bit more margin, so they produced a different tyre for us to do the run, which is now on the Super Sport.
Yeah.
Before they put the last layer of rubber on, there are some radial metal strengthening on the tyre.
Yeah.
So they changed the material to a stronger material so that it kept the tyre more in shape at those speeds. So at 490 there is a 7-ton tearing force on the tyre.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's incredible, isn't it? We go left.
Yeah.
So that's now pushed the maximum speed of the tyre well beyond the top speed of this car. So,
yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the electronic limit, I mean, we did a lot of running, and I did 1,000 kilometres above 400.
Wow.
And what I noticed was up till about 460, around this, everything's normal, and then 470, 480, 490. There, of course, the wheels are going around so fast, and what happens is the gyroscopic effect of the wheels turning so fast overcomes the suspension geometry, the caster angle.
Yeah.
So the car then needs a little bit more attention to keep it straight. And so, yeah, if you put the limit at 440, then everything's fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. 1,000 kilometers over 400 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, during the week that we were there, yeah. You know, because you get used to speed, don't you? So the first few times you do it, it's quite alarming. But in the end, I kept, of course I was concentrating the whole time, but I didn't really sort of fully concentrate until we'd exceeded 400 each run. Yeah. Which sounds really stupid.
No, but I know the feeling. The more often you do it, you sort of start doing things automatically, and you need less. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a nice bit of road here to experience the Chiron's handling. We've got double wishbones front and rear. Yeah. Okay. So there are quite a few bumps, but the car just behaves so predictably. Brakes are amazing. That pedal feel is glorious. 420 millimeter carbon discs, right? Ceramics.
Yeah, ceramic. Yeah, the calipers have got 4 pads in each side and 8 pistons. So actually here is our photograph. So we can do a car to car, then we can carry on driving.
Okay, sure.
After.
So as I said, it's a bit different than the stuff we usually do, but we've even got a film crew right now who are going to shoot some car to car. So I'll definitely incorporate that in the review as well. Nice road, some vines here. Feels like a holiday. So driving footage is done. We are now going to experience launch control. Bugatti claims 2.4 seconds, 0 to 100, right? Yeah. So that is, well, crazy in itself, but we're going to experience what that feels like on this little road.
Later on down there, because we're quite low now, I'll tell you when to lift because you're on the touchdown.
Sure. So. Left foot on the brake, more than 100 bar of pressure. Hit the button, launch control, full throttle. Oh. Woo! That will get your juices flowing. That is incredible.
And that is on a undulating, bumpy road.
Yeah, that is
not much tire temperature.
Yeah, that was not perfect. Man, that's amazing. That is amazing.
So you felt there was a bit of slip in the beginning.
Yeah, but then it hooks up and it's off. Man, that is massive. Oh, that I'm telling you, that torque is so addictive. It's quite ridiculous, to be honest. I've never experienced anything like this. I mean, the Lamborghini Huracan STO is sort of the same in the sense that you can feel what is happening. You know what every wheel is doing. How much power can I use? How much steering input can I use? Yeah. It just communicates with you, and only the really great cars do that.
But at the same time, it's doing it as a very comfortable, very refined. So you can, if you focus the car towards just that quality you've described, I can understand it. But this is not giving up anything in ride quality or refinement, and yet still can do that.
Yeah, it can relax as well.
Yeah.
The Huracan STO is a very hardcore car.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. It does that. This car does that, but it also has the broadness of the ability of, you know, a daily driver.
Yeah, and if you jump in the car now and drive to the south of France, it's luxury. So it's such a broad ability.
Yeah.
But an interesting fact, when they were doing all the development on the launch control, they did 200 launches on the same car before they would sign it off. 200
launches on one car. Yeah.
And I mean, 100 would have been quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it's bulletproof.
Yeah, I mean the amount of force that is
Yeah, that's it.
The amount of force that is unleashed upon this gearbox on this entire car is incredible, and the way it deals with it is absolutely amazing. I mean, it does so like no other car I've ever experienced.
Well, I was very fortunate in my racing career to drive some really fast cars.
Yeah.
And I was quite shocked myself when I drove this the first time. Wow, is that where the level is now?
Yeah.
You notice how fast the steering rack is too?
Yeah.
Very fast. Sometimes that can mean some instability.
No, but it doesn't feel nervous. I noticed that as well. It's very direct, but at the same time, because the suspension soaks up everything so well, you don't notice. Yeah, you don't have like that interference.
No, that's right. So yeah, you should be quite. It's a very bad surface, but,
Oh man,
but
yeah.
it's okay. It's soaking it up, isn't it?
I love that view of the air brake in my mirror as well.
It is nice. Now there's another potential after this corner.
Okay. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this introduction into driving a Bugatti Chiron Super Sport. It has been amazing to experience this car. Andy, thank you so much for taking me, for
My pleasure.
guiding me, and we just heard that Andy is being installed in the Hall of Fame at Sebring, so he is leaving for that after this, which is amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You deserve it, you are a legend, and I feel so honored to be instructed by you in a Bugatti.
No, it was a very nice drive. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, me too. Alright, so let's take it to the castle and do a walk around. So ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the castle. We are going to cover the Chiron Super Sport. I'm going to do a walk around after my drive with Andy Wallace. Now, we've had a tour around the grounds. This is the Chateau Saint-Jean, and it is absolutely magnificent. It was completely rebuilt when Volkswagen took over. This was all basically gone. So were the two additions and the orangerie. It is an absolutely magnificent place, and the history here is just palpable. And I think the fact that they really tried to incorporate that history into the new Bugattis is really, really special. And when you know about it, when you know about the history, like the horseshoe in the grille and the big C, you start seeing it everywhere. And that is just really, really awesome. So, the Chiron Super Sport, of course, it is the high-speed version of the Chiron. You've got a couple of different versions: the Chiron Sport, the Chiron Pure Sport, the Chiron Super Sport, and the Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus. Now, I just took a drive with Andy Wallace, who, as I said, did the high-speed run, the top speed run of 490 kilometers an hour in a Super Sport. And that's why they had that 300 Plus special edition. 30 of those were made. They were immediately sold out, of course. All Chirons are now sold out. They were going to build 500 of them, spread out over all the different versions. And then they have a couple of special editions as well, like the Devo. That is on top of those 500, but all of them are sold out. So today I'm going to show you the spec we've got it in, and I'll walk you through some of the most amazing things on the car. Yeah, I mean, some of you have been with us for a long time now on our channel. This is probably peak AutoTopNL right now that we are here. And the funny thing is that we started doing this because we just wanted to drive fast cars, but it's become more about sharing the experience with you guys now, which is really funny. I just want to share everything with you instead of just driving it myself, which is quite cool. Okay, so at the front we've got a completely new redesigned front bumper to reduce lift, to increase downforce, and it's all carbon fiber down there. All glossy carbon fiber, but as you probably know, you can do pretty much anything you want with these cars. You can customize everything, and they have a special place for that, which is in there. You sit with an expert and he shows you what you can do, and also guides you in, you know, what looks great with what, and that is pretty awesome. Now, the 300 Plus edition has these two orange stripes across the car. You are not allowed to order a Super Sport with those stripes, because that's just for the 300 Plus edition. Now, this car is almost entirely black with carbon. It is entirely black with carbon, and I do think it looks really good. It looks so sinister, and I mean, A brighter color does accentuate the lines a little bit better maybe, but I do think that this looks like freaking Batmobile top speed car. The horseshoe, as I said, a nod to history, going back like to the 1920s and 30s when they were making the Royale and the Type 35. Really awesome brand. And the fact that they always strived for perfection has led them to bankruptcy a couple of times actually. And I do think that it is such a fitting brand to be basically selected by VW to build this new brand on, which has so much history. I can't really explain what it feels like here, but it's very serene. There are only 130 people working here at Bugatti, and it's just a very nice place to be. There are deer behind this chateau. It's just very nice. So as you know, the Chiron is much more aggressive than the Veyron. It is much more angry, basically, the front end. And then when we move to the side, we can see that these 9 holes have been installed here. This is a nod to the EB110 Super Sport of the 90s, and it actually extracts air out of the wheel wells, reducing lift as well. You can see the grates here. And then we've got these forged wheels, 20-inch at the front. We've got 420mm carbon ceramic brakes with amazing stopping power, and then we've got these specially made Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, and you can actually see that there's a BG2 code on there, right there. That means that this tire was specifically designed for this car. Of course, top speed is 440 kilometers an hour when you use the second key, 380 when you don't use the key. Yeah, they needed to develop some serious tires for this car. Big side skirt down the side, and we've got the big C right there, which runs through the Bugatti history. Like, I mean, you see it everywhere, even in the art and furniture that they used to make, that Ettore Bugatti used to make. It just works so well all around the car. You can see the spine as well running from front to rear. That is also something you can see on older Bugattis like the Atlantic, which is one of my all-time favorite cars. I used to have a model car of the Atlantic and of the Type 35. So yeah, you see so much cool stuff. Super Sport on the fuel filler cap as well, and of course some radiators here behind that intake. And then we get to the business end. These, I think 285 front tires, by the way, section, that's quite wide. And then at the rear, we've got 355s and 21-inch wheels, so one size up. But this is the business end of the Chiron, of course. We just visited the factory, and we actually saw how they mated the front part of the carbon tub to the engine and the gearbox. So the engine sits right there, which of course is the heaviest part. And then you've got the gearbox sitting around there. So that means that you still have 45% to 55% weight distribution, 45% front. So that's not bad, considering there's a massive 8-liter W16 engine sitting right there. Now the Super Sport is 23 centimeters longer than a regular Chiron, so it is a long tail, and that ensures just better stability, better aero. Now, big wing here, which is also longer, also works as an air brake, and then we've got the dual exhaust, 2 on each side. In a regular Chiron, you've got 2 massive ones in the center. If you have a Chiron Sport, it's 4 separate tailpipes, and with this one, it is arranged like this so they could fit a bigger diffuser, and there are 2 extra exhaust pipes in there as well. And of course the beautiful rear light, the LED ribbon running across the rear with the EB logo, absolutely gorgeous. Now if there's one thing I've learned from being here today, is that this thing is drop dead gorgeous. I mean, I knew I was going to like this car, of course, but it just looks like it's sculpted by the gods of speed, of course. But I mean, it is such a pretty car, absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, it's much prettier than the Veyron, which sort of looked like everything had a function, and that's why it looked that way. But this car just looks like it's shaped by the wind, which is super cool. So the engine, I'm not sure I can show you any more than this, but I love the fact that it is just exposed a lot of carbon. You can customize all this as well. You can choose the color you want on that. You can choose the color of the carbon fiber. We just saw the most amazing specs in the factory. I mean, there are going to be some beautiful Chirons out on the roads, especially that pure sport is really, really cool with the big wing. So on the inside, we've got this cognac leather. Everything on this car is magnificent, so the leather quality is as well. I mean, this car gets used a lot, so it's a bit dirty right now, but it is just absolutely stunning. A lot of carbon fiber everywhere. And the thing that struck me most when I was walking through the factory is that it's such a combination between craftsmanship and high-tech manufacturing. So there are a lot of people walking around doing stuff with their hands, but it all looks super clean and I mean, yeah, it looks super futuristic basically. But everything is so high quality that, I mean, of course you need it to be if it's 3 million euros, but I mean, yeah, it is insane. So we've got this gorgeous carbon fiber dash in this car with a very simplistic dash. This is basically a dash because you've got all these little screens, high definition screens there to have a lot of info. And then you've got the big C running inside the cabin as well, which is just one of my favorite parts of the entire car. That is absolutely beautiful. And then you've got a little window to look behind you and see the engine and the air brake. And you can also get the sky view glass panels in here, which also increases headroom by 5 centimeters, so that is really great for me. And then in front of us we've got this beautiful steering wheel, absolutely gorgeous carbon fiber, leather, aluminium, and then the driving mode button. So EB is basically automatic, this is lift I guess, and then Autobahn mode and track mode. Start engine and launch control, as you've seen on the road, we've done that as well. But it is just so clean and beautiful. Everything you touch is just magnificent. And then of course down here we've got the extra key, the top speed key. So you take that out, you've got a key to insert in there, twist it, turn it I should say, and then you're allowed to do the top speed. Now if you do that, the car does a few checks. The ride height drops, there are underbody fins that fold up, and the car does a certain amount of checks to see if it's okay to do it. And if your tires are more than 2 years old, it won't allow you to do the top speed. So it won't allow you to unlock the true top speed of the Chiron. Louis Chiron, by the way, was a racing driver for Bugatti, and he won a lot of races. So it's a really cool name. And again, that history just seeps through every car, and it just, this entire factory facility just breathes history and love for cars. So that's it. This was what we were able to do. No Autobahn today, unfortunately. I hope we can do that sometime in the future. But yeah, we were invited to come and drive this car at the factory. I do think that I've been able to show you guys what it's like, give you an insight into, you know, the craziness of this car. So I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoyed coming on this ride with me, and I really hope you enjoyed coming on this ride with us in the last 12 years or however long you've been with us. I hope we will be able to do more crazy stuff like this. So thank you as always for watching. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you do by clicking the big button. If you want to check out another video, you can do so by clicking on that one on the right, or this playlist of reviews is also available if you want to watch more. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next one.